Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. Super groggy. Just got back from the plane, pulled over on my way home and then to work. Got back from Europe. Awesome trip. We're going to talk about the banks. Now, the title may be a little deceiving and I'm trying to figure out how to write it, but this is what it is. There's two stories out of the Sun, and I think it's really important. It's entitled Bank of America Executive Insists Customers Will Find New Locations After 1,144 U.S. bank branches abruptly close. Not just Bank of America. There are banks all around the country that are consolidating. They cannot either find the people to work them or they're having much lower foot traffic. They're closing their branches. For whatever reason, it's happening. I believe eventually you will see zero bank branches and you will be doing all of your banking online, which I cannot stand. But Bank of America is on doing damage control because they're coming out and they're talking about it because the people are screaming and yelling. And what's interesting is that it's not being covered on the mainstream media until it's too late. It's all these smaller organizations that pick up the news stories, they see where the trends are flowing, and they're always first to it. Check this out. An executive of Bank of America has revealed that the company plans to open more branches despite recent closures. Aaron Levine, president of the preferred banking at Bank of America, said that he believes there is still a need for brick and mortar banks. But check this out. Uh, he says the branches play a critical role, he told the San Francisco Business Times. Our own research tells us that students say, I may never go to a financial center, but I will choose a bank knowing they have one near. The financial center plays a psychological role. So right there, he's already telling you that they know that this is in most people's heads, and they're working on a plan to go around that, to shift that. So they're focusing on the younger generations. I want people to understand that when very successful, very powerful people put together plans, they don't push them out in 1 day, 2 days, a couple of weeks. These are multi-year, multi-decade plans. And what Bank of America is telling you lightly there is they are looking at the psychology of the student, the young person, because what they want to do is they want to change their psychology of what a bank is and what it should be. Thank you, Daryl, for the super chat. Um, so that you need to see that when we start seeing agenda. Well, 2021's over. They already pulled that off, and now what is agenda 2035 or whatever it is? By a certain year, you're going to own nothing and be happy. You need to realize that's because they are changing your children right now. They're changing the psychology of your children, and that is why it is so vital that you teach your children economics, you teach them history, you teach them so many things. There's so many cultures. We have lost the way of telling stories and telling the younger generations what it used to be like and what it should be like today and how bad it is. The Native Americans come to mind when I think about the Native Americans and how important it is to pass down the stories and the history of their ancestors so that they can continue to have that uh, never changing, never evolving, like keeping the ways of the past so that they protect their heritage. But so many of us are getting caught up in the minutia of life and the everything that's happening that we're not teaching our children, we're not raising our children, yet the media is raising our children. And this is, I know it sounds funny and I'm pulling this in with banking, but you have to realize we're losing our currency, we're going digital. And we've got to figure out a way to be able to slow that down. Eventually it's going to be, I've read the end of the Bible. I know where it's going. But we've got to slow it down enough to where our children can grow wealth and we can protect our lineage that way so we can own things. So we're not in debt when all of this thing comes crashing down. So he says the financial center plays a psychological role. Instead of fully focusing on online banking, the bank is taking a unique approach and placing itself in new markets like Cleveland and Minneapolis. You're like, who cares about that? It says it also recently opened 2 new branches in California. Big whoop. And shared plans. Oh, and there's a question. How many branches have you closed in California recently? And it says it shares plans to establish locations in Nebraska, Alabama, and a handful of other states. He says we will have a financial center presence in 90 of the top 100 deposit markets, Levine said. This is a surprising move considering S&P Global Market Intelligence revealed that 1,144 banks have closed from January 1st to July 31st. Think about that. That is a staggering number. Oh, and check this out. Bank of America closed 49 branches, according to data reviewed by Daily Mail. So they're sitting there straight up telling you, oh, we're going to open up 2 branches. We've closed 49. And we've got plans to open up some more, but we closed 49. Those are the facts. They're closing more banks than they're opening. They're doing damage control because the news stories are getting out. The banking industry is about to squeeze you. PNC, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan Chase were the banks that saw the most closures, the news outlet reported. Banks are investing in developing their digital services in order to compete with businesses like Chime, Robinhood, or Quintonic Bank. You really think that's the plan? No, I don't think that's the plan. They want to be straight digital because they want to control you and they want the most profits available. Constantly, while constantly squeezing you with higher ATM fees, debit fees, all kinds of fees. With the rise of inflation, experts believe that customers are more likely to want to seek financial advice in person, leaving many at a disadvantage with the recent closures. Bank closures can become detrimental to communities if they are left without a bank. Without a bank within 10 miles of a residence, people are more likely to find themselves using predatory lending options like payday loans. To stop situations like this from occurring, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency is in charge of evaluating the effects of bank closures in a given community. Do you really think the Office of the Comptroller of Currencies is doing that? Do you think anyone in the government really cares to be proactive? No. I'm going to tell you that right now. The OCC understands the importance of bank. Hold on a second. I got to do something real quick here. Let's do something. Oh, I can't touch it. Oh well. I'm trying to figure out to answer somebody's question. However, its importance is to note that while banks have to notify the organization, the OCC, they are not obligated to follow their advice. Isn't that nice? That shows you right there, again, the separation of the banking cartel under the Federal Reserve, which is not federal at all. It is a private bank, and the government. The government has no power when it comes to the printing of its money. You think it does? It doesn't. Shoot, look at our current Treasury Secretary. For heaven's sakes, it was the past Federal Reserve chairman. It's an incestuous, inbred organization done on purpose to rob from you. I think these are very important things to note. And when they're talking about the 1,400 banks closed, check this out. This is going back to another story linked. Bank closure crisis batters the U.S. with 3 states which are worst off. Check to see how your state is affected. It says 3 states have been listed as having the most bank failures over the past 2 decades. Georgia, Florida, and Illinois. Illinois. Sorry, I always say that. I always say it in plural. Had the highest number of bank failures from the year 2000 until 2023. The state of Georgia saw 93 banks fail. Florida followed with 76. Illinois trailed with Illinois. I always do that. Illinois trailed with 69 failures, according to the report from MyListing.com, a commercial real estate website. These 3 states make up almost 42% of bank failures for the past 23 years. Check this out. Farmington Bank. I talked to you guys about this the other day. I knew that there was a bank that was going to close its doors the 3rd week of August. And the Federal Reserve, even though Farmington was in the news for a couple weeks prior, Farmington was officially closed by the Fed. And when I say officially, they have been sent a cease and desist letter. They are now selling off their assets. And there is so much going on behind the scenes in the banking industry. But think about this. Farmington was literally producing its own currency. It had put out a stable coin and was making profits from deriving profits from the minting of that stable coin and the burn fees. Mind blowing. This is a bank with only 4 branches, super small. And a lot of people go, well, why does that matter? This is why it matters. I'm telling you right now, there are many more bigger banks, much, much bigger banks that are doing similar things. And the reason why Farmington is closing right now is because the Federal Reserve is in crisis mode and they're going, all right, pick the small ones. Always pick the small ones because we have all these banks crashing. Our repo window is wide open. Everything's collapsing right now. Let's pick the small ones to prepare the minds of the people. You're in a banking collapse. The economy is cratering. So they slowly come out with the small ones, and then they're going to get larger and larger and larger. Last week of September, first week of October, you're going to see fireworks fly. It's going to be the craziest time because I will literally be in Las Vegas with many of you. I think there's like 500 people coming, and we're going to be in the thick of it. Think about what we're going to be talking about then and what our plans are going to be. That is the craziest thing that I can think of right now is here. I'm going to get to share this moment with you because I'm calling end of September, 1st of October, that not those days, I'm talking about that those couple weeks of when the deluge comes in these banking crashes. You're going to see so much more info coming out. And here's the proof. They're looking to put masks on people again, and they're going to start shutting things down. I told you 6 months ago, we have 6 months till the next pandemic. And I could probably like talk about it right now while it's like, "Ooh, yeah, advertise it. We're going to start doing masks again." They're doing this to hide a lot of this crash. Did you guys see the TSA came out with I was getting off the plane. I was talking to a stewardess, totally awake, totally understand what's going on. And I said, "Do you see that COVID mandates come back?" She goes, "I just saw the TSA bulletin. Start preparing for mask mandates, and we're going to start doing things differently again, social distancing." Why would they do that? Now, I knew there was another pandemic that they were going to push, and I don't believe that I think there's going to be so much kickback, it's going to be insane. But I am shocked that they picked COVID-19 to a second. I would have thought it would have been something totally new, but they're going to roll with it. And everybody you know that went and took the jibby jab, they're just going to run back down and get all set up again. This is going to get nutty, guys. And that's why I said these are the times to be ready. Don't be getting into more debt. They need a crisis to push out this digital currency and give it to the lowest income wage earners in the country, which now, thanks to high inflation, is an even larger percentage of the population. Can I get a thumbs up for that? Do you guys realize how they do this? They're forcing more of the middle class into the poverty level so that when this crisis hits and they're scared to death and they can't afford hyperinflating food and energy prices, they're going to give you for free, which doesn't cost them a dime. It's just a 1 and a 0. It's a digital currency on your phone, and they're going to force you to spend it to spur the economy, and they're going to get you sucked in. Just like they got all of us sucked in to income tax because they lied to the public back in 1913, 1914, as whenever it was, they said it's only for the rich. Well, do me a favor. Type the number 5 if you pay taxes right now. I want to see it. Type 5 if you pay taxes. Any taxes. If you pay $1 in taxes, do you pay taxes? Type the number 5. And I bet you every single person right now is going to type 5. And then check this out. Type 6 if you pay taxes and you aren't considered rich. If you're not considered wealthy. So my point being is they straight up lied to you. And that is what they're doing now. And they're doing it, they're hitting you on so many different emotional and psychological fronts that it confuses the average person. My job is to show you how they're doing that, reveal it to you in real time, because I said that from the beginning when I started this channel 3 years ago, that we were going to document this current collapse based on my experience of 2008 because I sold all my homes in 2006. I only kept 3 homes, and those things darn near took me out. And I swore I would never, ever, ever do it again. And that's why I wrote the real estate crash course. That's why I have been preparing, saving up money. I have cash, I have gold, I've got some food. I am ready to have a clear mind to go charge the hill, and I want you to too. I'll throw some of those discount links below if you want. Makes it $199 for the course if you want to learn how to take advantage of this, because this ain't a joke. I hope you get something out of this. I thank you so much for watching. The Economic Ninja has got to get back on the road.